Moody Talk. This week we're on week 2 of sadness. So I chose sadness for November because a lot of times, with Thanksgiving coming up, a lot of people talk about being grateful and being grateful for what you have, grateful for what's going on in your life, that kind of thing. And it's a really nice idea. But what if you don't feel grateful? What if you're sad because you don't have special people in your life anymore? Maybe you've broken up with a significant other. Maybe you've lost a family member or friend, and it's hard. Maybe you haven't had a good job prospect, or things that can make you feel like you've lost something or you never had something that you should have. So that's why I wanted to do sadness for the month of November, to give people the voice to be able to say, well, yeah, I'm grateful for what I have, but I'm also really, really sad about other parts of my life that I wish I had or didn't have, like health issues or something like that. So that's what we're talking about. I want to go into what I use for coping skills because I find them to be really, really effective. Um, so I work with DBT skills, and what they are is they're a way of changing thought process, or getting distress tolerance coping skills, or learning mindfulness tactics to relieve stressful situations, that kind of thing. And I've been doing it for years. The name of the woman who created it is Dr. Marsha Linehan, and I have a great resource. I've always lived near McLean Hospital, and McLean Hospital is a very large psychiatric hospital that does so many things, and works with so many different people with different mental illnesses. And so they're a really great resource for me. I have stayed inpatient at McLean Hospital. I have also done outpatient therapies. I am in groups in McLean Hospital, and a lot of what is taught there, especially for women, is the DBT skills model. It's not for everyone, and I'm just sharing because they work for me, and I want people to have the opportunity to learn about these things. Today I'll be talking about wise mind. I've talked about it before, but I'm going to get into it a little bit more because I think it's important for this particular emotion, with a distress tolerance for the emotion of sadness. So I've made some handouts, and a couple of the handouts have below, like that it comes from a specific book, the DBT Skills Workbook and handouts from Marsha Linehan. So I just want to get that out there. And if you want resources on where to find this book in particular, I got it on Amazon, and I can put a link in because it has a ton of different worksheets and information on ways to handle your emotions and what you can do to bring down the distress, regulate your emotions, that kind of thing. So let's get into it today. So for sadness for week 2, last week we talked about getting those description words of sadness that you normally use, that are in your own vocabulary, and writing them out and then putting them on a scale of most intense to least intense. And I think it's an important thing to do. So if you go back and try that, I think it's an important thing to do at the very beginning of all of this, because then you have your own vocabulary and you can take the words that pop into your head with what you're feeling and understand the intensity of them. So if you haven't done that worksheet yet, I highly recommend it for any emotion. I did it for the fear emotion as well, because I think it's important to build your vocabulary for your specific descriptive words for an emotion. So we did that last week. This week, we are going to be talking about, figuring out the biological changes that your body goes through when you are feeling sadness. And again, just like the words, like giving yourself the understanding of what your body does biologically, so that you understand that this is, maybe this is sadness that I'm feeling, right? So I created this worksheet. It's called, so I have the biological changes. Now, this isn't always what you have for biological changes. These are just some, but putting down which ones you feel is really good for you to understand when you're feeling this way. So, feeling tired, low energy, feeling numb, unable to feel pleasure, feeling empty, feeling like you can't stop crying, or it's difficult swallowing or breathing. Okay, these ones seem to be a little bit more on the intense side of things, where you can't stop crying, or you're having trouble, with your breathing, that kind of thing. In swallowing, those seem to be for me a little bit more of an intense feeling, whereas for others, these feel more for me like long term, like they start to just kind of roll together, like feeling tired with low energy, or feeling numb. So these are just some of the biological changes you can feel. Then the expressions and actions that you may do without even thinking about it, because you're just kind of, you're feeling your sadness. And sometimes people do these kind of things like avoidance and withdrawal from, people, especially people that you care about and love, giving up or feeling helpless, appetite loss, not eating, speaking slowly or softly, keeping eyes lowered and slumping your shoulders. So those are just some of the things that you can do when you feel sadness. Okay. So then I move on to, I want to really give you an idea of what wise mind is. And again, as I said, this is DBT skills. And again, Dr. Marsha Linehan is the woman who created these. Now, I really enjoy DBT. There are a few things that we'll see in the next section that you might not always agree with. I think that happens with a lot of different skill sets. So we'll talk about, I'll talk about the ones that I feel like don't help me, don't make me feel some sort of relief from my sadness. So anyway, wise mind. What is wise mind? So wise mind is what is right in between the reasonable mind and the emotion mind. Okay, so that's, those two clashing together gives you this wise mind. Wise mind is balancing both the reasonable and emotion mind. Balancing cool, you're reasonable, right? And you're hot, you can feel as like emotion. When you start to feel emotions, your body temperature may rise. Reasonable, I mean, cool is like you're keeping the cool head and you're just, like sticking with the facts, that kind of thing. Balancing left and right brain together. Okay, because we each have like different sides of the brain work with different, things like emotions on one side and reason on the other. So reasonable is facts, reasons, logic, and task oriented, whereas emotion is your mood, feelings, or urges. Okay? So when I talk about wise mind, this is exactly what I'm talking about, is that cross in between reasonable and emotion mind. Okay? It's hard to get into wise mind in a lot of occasions. That's why we need to practice these kind of things, because they really do help down the road when they're practiced. And when I say practice, is sometimes, like when you've finished going through something, practicing that, even though it's, it's still kind of hard and fresh in your mind, going back and saying, okay, well, what skills would have been best and what would have put me in a wise mind state? Okay. Oh, I see that Raven has joined us. So she's going to keep going with us. So what I want to talk about as a coping skill today for sadness is one that a lot of people will be like, oh, really? Okay, like that really helps. But again, it's practicing, and it's stepping back when you're really, really emotional and really upset about something, stepping back for a moment and saying, what can help me feel better in this moment? So I chose to talk about distracting. Okay, so DBT has a lot of acronyms that they use. One of them is accepts. And so, for distraction from your emotional mind and your sadness at the time, this is really recommended because you can step away for just a moment from that feeling that could be absolutely horrible feeling. Stepping away from it for a few minutes just to reset, to bring you out of that feeling and into doing something that might make you feel better. Okay, so in this accepts, there are a few things here that I find really hard and I don't feel helpful, but it may feel helpful to you. Okay, Raymond, let's get down. Thank you. So, A, activities. So it starts out, like the activities could be going for a walk with your headphones in and listening to some music, turning on the TV and maybe doing something in front of the TV. Um, okay, Foxy, Raven, let's go, honey. Let's go. My kitty's giving me some trouble here. Okay, so just going for a walk, doing a workout. I know that doing a workout actually does help me a lot. I enjoy running, and it takes my mind off, especially if I use I watch a video while I'm running on my treadmill, right? So then there's also contributions like especially at Thanksgiving, you know, giving time to help people out with food drives, and maybe going to Thanksgiving and helping with giving food to the homeless. Those are great contributions to do when you're feeling really sad, and I think a lot of people do choose to do that. I think they choose to do that. Oh, look, Raven. My kitty really wants to be involved. So, um, contributions is another great way to get your mind off it, and maybe even planning that you're going to do a contribution, like looking up. Like we have Lazarus House here in my area, looking up what they may need for like canned goods, and going in and doing a little bit of shopping just to get that in your head and thinking of doing things for others. Then there's comparisons. Now this is the one that I find very very hard, and I don't necessarily believe in is comparisons. So in the book, what they talk about with it is comparing yourself to another time when you felt better. Like that helps to make you feel as though it's not forever. This emotion, this feeling is not forever, that there are other times. There are fun times or times where you feel content and at peace. And thinking about those times, comparing the time now with times that you've had that have been good and that will happen again. The other comparisons that I'm not so happy about is the comparing yourself to people who don't have it as good as you, like as good as you, have a harder time in life. And I honestly don't agree with that in the terms of comparison because everybody has their own pain. That's how I feel about it. And I came to that conclusion one day when I had just come home. I was in college, and I had just come back after going to bring, put my father in jail for the things that he had done. So I had gone to court, and when I came home, I was pretty depressed. And a friend came to visit me, and my roommate ran ahead and was like, "Oh, I've got such a terrible, terrible headache." And my friend said, "Well, I'm here to see Jen," and she, walked past her. And later she asked me, "How can you put up with something like that? That she's thinks that her pain is so much more." I said, "Well, everybody's pain, everybody has their own pain that may feel like me, breaking a nail or cutting my hand may feel to them like a headache, or my pain, my emotional pain, may be different, a different level of intensity than what other people consider to be their worst." So I really do feel like comparisons may not be the best part of this accepts, right? Let's go on to emotions, okay? So, bringing up emotions that may make you feel better. Watching a comedy on TV or a movie could make you do some, feel a little bit lighter, feel a little bit more, like you could laugh, that you feel a little happier in the moment, just to get you out of that sadness. And it could be a movie because you need that hour and a half or so to really, get your head out of that sadness. Or reading a book that brings a lot of emotion to you. Like, a book that has always gotten your heart, that you've read a few times, that has made you feel better just by focusing on that. Okay? Pushing away. So pushing away is saying, I am not doing this right now. This is not a part of my process right now. I have decided, like, what I do is, my therapist taught me to put it in a container. Put it in a container and close the lid on the container. I'm not doing this right now. I am in, a different, I'm going to put myself in a different space, and I'm pushing away this right now so that I can have some breathing room and, take some time before I have to handle it again. Thoughts. Thoughts are more along the lines of, repeating words, or changing your thought process altogether, thinking of something completely different. Like maybe in your sadness, you're feeling really low, but there's something that that you enjoy on a regular basis. Like I'll give you another example. I love watching RuPaul's Drag Race. And when I get into depressive episodes, I like to, sit back and name off the queens who won every season. It gives me a chance to name, season one, season two, season three, and naming each queen to get my mind completely off of what I was thinking. Okay, so that's just another way. And then sensations. This one is big in distress tolerance with DBT. Getting something really cold and like putting it in your hands, or putting ice chips in your mouth so that your mouth feels really cold. It's taking your mind completely off of this part and onto your body. A lot of people, if it's winter, stepping outside into the cold and letting that cold overtake your body for a moment. A lot of people like to actually throw their face into a bowl of cold ice water to take that thought process out and bring it to the biological changes that you're having. I think I'm not huge on the hot cold type thing. I hate the cold. I hate it. And I live in New England. I've lived here my whole entire life. I hate cold stuff, like cold water, that kind of thing. But there are other sensations. Again, maybe doing some stretches so that you feel your body, your arms, your legs stretching, your muscles moving. That's the kind of sensations that they say can be really, really good to get your mind off of what you're feeling. Okay, so again, I in the handouts I also wrote the DBT skills training handout and worksheet, second edition, is where I got these kind of these the accepts and the distracting stuff. Okay, and why smile? So that's that. As I always, I will put the worksheets on my website, and the video will be available on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, so it'll be there as well, and it'll be on my website under Moody Talks. So if you go to my website, mymoodymonster.com, and go to Moody Talks, you'll be able to see all of the Moody Talks that I've done so far. So I hope this has been helpful. I know it was long, but I hope it's helpful, and I look forward to talking to you guys again.